The courtroom was silent, so silent. You could hear the shuffle of papers and the faint hum of the overhead lights. All eyes turned as Chief Justice John Roberts leaned forward, his expression unreadable, his tone edged with the weight of authority. With a pointed question, Roberts seemed to set a trap, one designed to corner Representative Jasmine Crockett in front of the nation. Some smirked, expecting Crockett to stumble. After all, this was the Supreme Court chamber, the arena of legal giants, not the fiery exchanges of a televised hearing. But Crockett didn't flinch. She locked eyes with Roberts, her chin raised ever so slightly, her body language radiating calm power. The tension stretched. Seconds felt like minutes. Then came her reply. Not rushed, not defensive, but sharp, steady, and so precise it cut through the silence like a blade. The room shifted. Heads turned. Even Roberts himself blinked, momentarily caught off guard. The Chief Justice, so often the arbiter of control, had just been met with a force of intellect and composure he hadn't anticipated. And then came the hook, the moment that left even her harshest. Critics whispering, did she really just say that? Her words weren't just an answer. They were a declaration, a line in the sand. But this wasn't just another courtroom exchange. What happened in the next 30 seconds would ripple beyond these walls, shaking the pillars of power and earning Crockett something rare, the respect of a judge known for his caution. The issue at hand wasn't minor. It wasn't procedural. This was about justice, about precedent, about whether truth could withstand the crushing weight of elite skepticism. Roberts had raised his voice subtly, framing Crockett's stance as if it lacked grounding. It was the kind of move that often worked against nervous witnesses or overzealous attorneys. But Crockett wasn't just another voice in the chamber. She was the voice of communities who had been dismissed, talked over, and sidelined for generations. She knew what was at stake, not only her credibility, but the credibility of every voice that dared to challenge power with authenticity. As Roberts pressed, his questions grew sharper, his tone more pointed, representing not malice, but the establishment's instinct to guard its gate. Crockett, however, matched each thrust with calm deflection, then counterpunches of undeniable logic. The stakes rose higher with every word exchanged. Courtroom staff leaned in. Attorneys glanced at one another, sensing history was unfolding. This was no longer about the case. It was about dignity against hierarchy, authenticity against formality, new leadership against the old guard. And then it hit, the FOMO trigger. The clash didn't stay confined within those chamber walls. Text started buzzing, social media timelines lit up, whispers spread outside the courtroom. People watching knew this wasn't just testimony, it was a showdown. The kind where one misstep could end a career, or one perfectly delivered reply could etch a name into history. John Roberts, Chief Justice of the United States. To many, he is the picture of composure, measured, careful, the institutional guardian of the court's dignity. His career, polished to brilliance, has been built on precedent, caution, and the authority of an elite legal mind. Yet that same caution has often been read as aloofness. Critics argue that Roberts, despite his brilliance, shields the establishment with a velvet glove, dismissing those who step out of line with a gentle smile but a firm hand. To the public, he's Goliath, the man at the highest bench, untouchable, immovable, immune to the fire of challengers. Few have ever unsettled him. Fewer still have earned his genuine admiration. So when Roberts leaned forward to confront Jasmine Crockett, many assumed the outcome was predetermined. He had the advantage of position, of tone, of authority. She was the outsider, the fighter from the House of Representatives stepping into his courtroom. But what Roberts didn't anticipate was Crockett's ability to blend sharp legal grounding with the lived experience of a people's champion. She wasn't intimidated by his robes, his title, or the centuries of tradition backing him. And that's where the foreshadowing emerged. Because arrogance, whether loud or cloaked in civility, only holds power until it meets someone who refuses to play by the old rules. Roberts, the symbol of order, was about to be challenged by someone who wielded truth with the precision of a scalpel. And in that challenge, the balance of power shifted, not permanently, not dramatically, but enough for a rare thing to happen. The Chief Justice himself would be impressed. Jasmine Crockett didn't arrive in that courtroom by accident. Her journey wasn't paved with privilege. It was carved through struggle, resilience, and a refusal to be silenced. Born outside the circles of inherited power, she fought her way into law, representing clients who couldn't afford to dream of powerful attorneys. Her reputation? Sharp, fearless, unwilling to let arrogance go unchecked. She was the Congresswoman unafraid to clap back, the attorney unafraid to expose contradictions, the leader who turned dismissiveness into her battleground. Crockett carried with her the scars of being underestimated, but she turned those scars into strength. Every sneer from opponents, every interruption in hearings, every attempt to dismiss her only honed her fire. So, when she stood before the Chief Justice, she wasn't there as an intimidated visitor. She was there as a seasoned warrior, with legal brilliance and lived experience flowing through her veins. Her preparation was meticulous. Her composure was unshakable. She had the rare ability to meet arrogance with authenticity and transform dismissal into validation. And that's why this moment mattered, because Roberts wasn't just facing another attorney. He was facing the one person in that chamber who could flip the script. But she didn't blink. Instead, she leaned into the tension. Each time Roberts attempted to dominate, she answered with precision. Facts, precedent, lived reality, all woven together into answers that didn't just respond, but dismantled. The tension was cinematic. Cameras captured Roberts narrowing his eyes, Crockett pausing just long enough to let her words land. Audience members shifted in their seats, sensing the clash was no longer just a legal discussion. It was personal, ideological, generational. Then the silence before the storm, Roberts pausing, as if expecting her to falter under pressure. But instead of faltering, Crockett leaned forward. Her voice steadied, her words sharper, slicing through the layers of formality. The moment hung in the air like a thundercloud. And then, in one unforgettable exchange, she unleashed words so sharp, so undeniable, that Roberts himself was momentarily disarmed. The clash had peaked, and the audience knew something extraordinary was happening. Crockett dismantles Roberts's framing point by point, with rhythm, precision, and brilliance that earns gasps and online praise. Roberts blinks, momentarily caught, then nods, acknowledging her mastery. The mic drop lands, trending instantly. Social media erupts. Hashtags trend. Commentators replay her response. Roberts's nod becomes the meme of the day. A Chief Justice impressed. Celebrities, activists, and legal analysts chime in. Crockett wasn't just good. She was brilliant. For Roberts, the aftermath is humbling. His moment of doubt turned into a moment of respect. For Crockett, it's validation on a national scale. And for viewers, it's confirmation. Authenticity and truth can stand tall, even in the most intimidating of arenas. Crockett reframes the entire moment. This wasn't about ego. It wasn't about silencing critics. It was about proving that dignity beats arrogance, and that truth beats doubt. She reminds America that strength isn't measured by volume, but by clarity. That resilience doesn't mean resisting the question. It means answering it with brilliance. Her exchange with Roberts becomes a symbol, the outsider who commanded the respect of the highest judge in the land. And for every viewer watching, the moral rings clear. When arrogance tests authenticity, authenticity wins. John Roberts tried to press, tried to corner, tried to challenge. But Jasmine Crockett's brilliance didn't just hold the line, it flipped the script. And for the first time, even the Chief Justice himself couldn't help but show respect. Because arrogance always falls before authenticity. And in that courtroom, dignity won. If you believe in voices like Jasmine Crockett's, voices that challenge power with truth and composure, then don't just watch. Subscribe, share, add your voice. Because every time someone like Crockett stands tall, it's not just her victory. It's a victory for all of us.